with your host, Jay Swift.
Welcome to Drum and Bass HQ. We are joined by 1000 Days Wasted, hot from the release of Hope Kills, which is currently approaching its 4th week in the Beatport D&B Top 100. He's also treated your ears to the Chiller, as well as the Alive EP, This Corruption EP, and the trap-styled Elevation EP. Welcome to Drum and Bass HQ.
Oh, thanks, man. It's a good intro. That's I feel like thanks, man. Big up Jay Swift. Big up D&B HQ. Thanks for having me on. What do you want to ask me today?
I know it's a bit cheesy for a first question, but where does the name 1000 Days Wasted come from?
It's like there's a short answer and there's a long answer.
Let's go for the long.
Well, okay. The long answer is it's about the dark irony of reflection. That if people get so caught up in what they're doing, and it's like the Zen space of if you do a long list of everything, and then you do the last thing on the list. So you almost, the smallest tiny thing that you just maybe think you might want to do seems like the most irrelevant thing in your life. That's sometimes that's your mission almost, rather than all the other things. And it's like, you actually can do it. Just write a list of things that you want to do in life, and you're like, go and get some milk, do whatever, go and get the car cleaned.
Yeah.
They were like right on the top of the list or something, and right at the bottom is that. And people are very quick to judge what you do with what money it makes or that. They don't. There's no. It's just capitalism. It's just like some big value put on it. So sometimes when you do creative things, firstly, it feels like you are just completely wasting your time. Everyone's saying, you should be getting married or something, or just getting a mortgage. Yeah. You go, no, but I'm doing my tunes or whatever. So in a lot of ways, 1000 Days Wasted is that concept that you could, that you dare to just literally take the time for some really special thing that you want to communicate, not just get caught up in a to-do list of day-to-day things, So yeah, it makes sense for what I'm trying to achieve, to get a message out about creativity and about self, not about just get to the end and it's just been like some kind of cookie cutter kind of concept of what I thought life was all about.
Yeah.
That's a long answer.
But I know Hope Kills has been high up in the Beatport charts. Has that officially taken the top spot as your best-selling ever track now?
It's funny you should ask that, because in a way it should do, but the Chiller is still there at the number one slot.
Oh.
Hope Kills is a funny thing, because they the whole thing, when I sent the release off, I took a picture of it was like in the studio. I took a picture of it'd been like Halloween, so I bought, it was like a thing for the studio that's like a skull that's on my speaker, and if people go on my Instagram or things like that, I take pictures of, and I'll call it gear porn, so basically pictures of all the flashy lights, and I bought this thing because it was Halloween. It's like a skull and a thing mounted on the speaker, because I just wanted it for the speaker. Just
yeah.
You gotta have the space of being something cool. So I took the picture of it and put it as like a placement, because I send the things as SoundCloud, like private links. And so it wasn't just a blank thing. I sent a picture of my, skull that I've got on my speaker. And when the man did the design, he put like this blue skull and that. And I was like, oh no way! It's like my actual picture of my studio, and it's cool, like the skull that everyone, everyone's doing comments about, So that was really good. But there was some problem with like the design, maybe something to do with copyright or something. So they had to change it.
Yeah,
and that pushed the whole thing on. So it pushed on from something like about the 10th or maybe the start of December to like the 26th. And I was like, oh, this is just going to be the worst time to release. It's like Boxing Day. Everyone's just going to be sleeping off like dinner, and they're not going to go, oh, what's happening in drum and bass. And so I was really like, I was thinking, it's never going to work, And worst thing is like, me and my friend, and this is like me whining, but me and my friend got the flu over Christmas, and not the man flu, like Lemsip,
like proper flu. Like,
it's like some crazy headache that you couldn't even like function. Taking like, the tablets with the codeine and everything, and we were sitting around like just like she was the other side of the settee, on one side of the settee with a quilt on, smashed out my head on codeine, watching, of all things, Bed Knobs and Broomsticks.
Yeah.
That's an experience you need in life. I should include codeine with a DVD box set. And I was just like, FML, as they say, it's like, I was thinking, my life sucks, everything is going wrong, hitting a new year. And when it comes January the 1st, that was like entered the charts at like number 90, and I was like, no way. I've just been like, I've just been whining for 2 weeks, and it just went like, so start of 2015 was, I said big things. We're going up the way with it. And then like I was around a friend's house and I was saying, yeah, look, check out my track, so I'm in the charts. And when I clicked on it and I was showing him it like, in the chart, I noticed that it was like, it had been featured on like a chart. And I was like, thinking it's just someone's put me in their chart and it's really good. Top 10 tracks you like for drum and bass.
Yeah.
And it was actually Beatport that had done it, and they did it as top 10 must-hear drum and bass tracks.
Yeah,
so I was like,
the top 10 drum and bass tracks you must hear kind of thing. Yeah.
And I'm like, because if Beatport say you must hear it, you must hear it.
Yeah.
It's the law.
I know.
So yeah, I was really like, no way, I mean, I got their newsletter this was about like 3 days before, and you get the one where it's like every single release, and it's like, like 100 releases or something with drum and bass that week.
Yeah.
Then they've got the one about, a day later, and there was like 4 featured tracks, and mine was in that top 4. And I was like thinking, why am I just like 4 out of those 80? But obviously at this point, that's what they were doing,
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was well stoked about that. I was thinking, I felt like I was, because obviously they got some weight in EDM, haven't they? So
yeah,
I felt like I'd been approved.
Definitely. And with all that love from Beatport and the momentum you're getting, do you feel pressured now?
Well, I was going to say, getting the love from DBHQ as well,
Yeah.
I wrote you up, said, like, because you got some shares on there, so that was good. I think you got a percentage of that success. You got a slice of the pie chart, as they say.
Thank
you. Saying about pressure. Well, pressure's a funny thing. It's like, best advice, just ignore the pressure. I've read this thing that it was like Johnny Depp or something, and they're saying like, he never reads any reviews, he never watches movies. Possibly recommended you don't watch Johnny Depp movies, but Johnny Depp, sorry. In a lot of ways, you've got to ignore the pressure. It's kind of like if there's 2 things that I think. One is if you DJ and you're doing performances, the worst thing is not if the room's cold or like not many people there and it's not really not really bouncing and you're not sure what to do with the music. That's not the worst thing. The worst thing is like when it goes up and you literally put a track and it just whips. Everyone's asking for a rewind. Everyone's just literally just the whole room just like jumped all at the same time.
Yeah.
At that point, it's a lot of energy, and you just think. You just feel like really shy. You just think, oh my god, what am I doing? You literally, it's like that. When you have those nightmares when you're a kid, right? And it's like your nightmare. You turn up in school and you're just wearing your pants, like up in a huge tune. Just feels like standing there in a pair of pants, right? And you just think, what?
And what are you going to do now?
yeah, that's what it's like, And the MT saying like rewind it, and you're just going like, I've got my pants on, wait, So. I'm going to say that one time, see what happens. So in a lot of ways, pressure's a funny thing that you when you're up, pressure's it's like you shouldn't be sort of kind of completely competing with yourself. It's kind of you've almost got to ignore that. And the second thing about pressure, which is it's about the creative state, and there's a tutorial for like Il Gates called Il Methodology. And he states it quite clearly that if you sit in front of a computer, and I'm quite another man, but it's okay. If you sit in front of a computer and you say, this is this is going to be it. This is the tune. I'm going to use a drum and bass analogy.
Yeah.
This is going to be the drum and bass tune. Everyone is going to hear this tune. Everyone is going to know everything there is to know about me in this tune. I'm going to say everything I ever wanted to say about music. It's going to be awesome. They're all going to hear it. They're all going to judge me. This is going to make me. This is going to get here. This is going to do this for me. And literally, this is going to be my crowning perfection. If you sit in front of the studio and you're literally saying that to yourself before you start, then you've got to switch the computer off and go and play Xbox, because you've just literally crashed so much into yourself before you even start. You're going to mess it up. You're just going to no catch yourself a slap. It's like, and that doesn't mean you shouldn't have mixed vision, and it doesn't mean you shouldn't have direction. But sitting there, hitting all that, like career pressure, or it could just be emotional pressure, or anything, just bringing that in with you is insane. It's almost like the best way. I suppose
it's like you end up making music for other people then, rather than.
I mean, that is a question. Whose track are you making? I mean, it is. In a lot of ways, sometimes I write tunes. I've got some chill tunes, like some chill trap and stuff that I got there, and it's like, I'm like, I don't know who to send this to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like, and it's kind of like, but I live it, man. It's just, sometimes I'll take a little bit of a, week off and go, just literally go, just because I'm on that vibe. There might be some other music that I've been listening to.
Yeah.
That on that, but you should, with the creative process, before you start, you should start like you're finishing a track. When you're touching the controls, and by that I mean, you've got your pad where you're triggering things and your keyboard and your things, you should be touching that like you're finishing a track. And it's a 20-hour guillotine. It's like the reason you're touching that so you're finishing a track is because in 20 hours, if you haven't finished it, you're chopping it up and using it for samples, or it's finished. And I think realistically, the first 3 or 4 hours, your tune is there. You can see it quite clearly, and it's that thing. The delivery man is delivering a giant block of marble. The artist sees a horse.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So that's mixed vision explained in horses. But that's and so in a lot of ways, sometimes people come to me and they say, I've got this idea for a track and all this, that, and the other. I'm like, I've got a million ideas for tracks. I've got a million ideas for how a load of million things all go together. And when I start putting those million things together, another million happen every 10 minutes. So it's about a million times a million ad infinitum, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So in a lot of ways, a track will write itself. If you're in the present moment, you're in the eternal moment, your track will write itself. And it's kind of like, it's like as an experienced producer, you have so much technical doodad you've got to throw out the door. And you've just got so much, like I said, that pressure you can put on yourself and all those things. And I think it's, as an amateur producer, they're probably writing rubbish music, but what they're doing is having a really great time with what works. And it's kind of like, it's easy to sit there going, oh, well, I think that, bass needs a little bit of compression and I'm not sure if the, section B is working properly. And I'm like, oh man, you're killing the vibe, inside yourself.
Yeah.
You've got to be like, I'm going to drop this and everything's going to blow up. And at that point, that's why I like that bit. Even though it's really raw and distorted and a mess right now, I'll sort that out in a minute.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sometimes I'm dancing around in the studio with the headphones on and, knocking things over. And I'm thinking, yeah, that'd work. So that's, and I think it's an easy trap you can get into, just like paralysis by analysis. You can just literally critically doing your things. I think I saw a tutorial, it's like Octane and DLR. And it's like Digital Labs one, and he said never listen to anyone else's music, like ever, when you're writing music. He goes, listen to it another time in the car. He goes, you're in the middle of a session, you put on someone else's tune, he goes, you've just crashed that session.
Yeah, that's true.
Because that's a finished track that's been mastered. You're a load of ideas. The ideas that are happening in your mind before you fill that gap before it's finished. So you just listen to someone else's tune and you're just thinking, oh no, they're just awesome, and what am I thinking? Again, time to put the Xbox on. It's kind of.
But it sounds to me like you kind of work probably on your music every day. Would you say? Would you say you live it every day?
Well, see, I've gone through phases where I haven't liked music, and this is another thing about that. And I'll go through phases of like 3 months where I don't like music, and I just, because I'm getting in the tears about it, and then I set a task for myself. I go, you set a task for yourself, so it's like impossibly small. That way you achieve it every day.
Yeah.
So I say, literally, I'm going to do 1 hour music. That's it. No messing about. Just 1 hour music, and not like messing around and that. 1 hour of actually getting stuff on the canvas, and I'll do it, and I'll do it for 3 hours, and I'll do it next time. I'll do it for 3 hours, and I go, although I've set 1 hour, I'm doing 3, and I think to myself, in fact, I really love it, and the time flies by, and I love writing music because I'm not being rubbish about myself, and I think sometimes you might be going on for about 6 hours and you think, no, that's okay. What I'm going to do is stop this now, come back to it tomorrow, the next day, because that's my 1 hour tomorrow, and I'll do it tomorrow. So by sort of spoon feeding it to yourself, it becomes part of, it's something you do. It's like a way of life, rather than that sort of, people have said to me, oh, I wish I could do this. If I took like 2 years off work, I'd like produce amazing music. I go, you wouldn't.
No.
You just get yourself in a pickle. You're better
you just play Xbox for 2 years.
Been there, done that, Right. Anyway, so and this is like, it's kind of, the creative process is a weird one because, as I say, you're your own worst enemy. You can literally put so much stupid pressure on yourself that you don't get. You can almost literally go straight off in the wrong direction even before you've even got to the studio. I mean, one of the things I think is quite important is you've got to sort of like, firstly wake up. That's the funny thing that sometimes people get up and go, right, so I'm getting in the studio, I'm writing some tunes. And I'm like, when I wake up, I've got an idea, head full of ideas and stuff like that. But the best thing is, watch a show on TV, not like Loose Women or something, but something like really dynamic.
Yeah, Jeremy Kyle.
Nothing terrestrial. I know what I mean? So like, something dark, Spartacus or something, like something like that, with all those things in it, or Black Sails, that's coming, new series coming, that I'm well into my TV. And it's, something with all those dynamics and characters, or read a good book, like Oryx and Craig is really good.
Yeah.
And get that sort of dark future science fiction, get all that vibe on the go. And when clear your mind, because it's easy to, when it's all like, you got to write back to this person and this person wants my demo and all that's going off, and someone's texting you about something, you get away from, you're filling your mind full of like the to-do list, again, rather than that.
It's actually one of my good friends who's a producer at the moment. He's just moved house, and because he's moved house, he doesn't have any internet in his house. So
I can't breathe, man.
Yeah, but the thing is that I said to him, it must be your work rate must have gone up, and he said it's gone up about 100% because he doesn't go on Skype, he's not on AIM, he's not on Facebook, nothing. So he's just got his computer just to make music. So, and he does that anyway. If he has the internet, he'll turn his phone off and he'll turn everything off for like a couple of hours while he's doing it. Cause it is
like the comedy show, The Onion. I don't know, it's like an American thing, and they did a thing once, and it's like the internet is broken, productivity is soared, and it's like there's like fake news thing. I'll have to find you, send you a link, but it's that's it. So productivity is soared. How's he getting on? Tell him like, just don't get the internet ever.
No, he's got to be a guest on the show, so he needs it.
Oh yeah. All right, okay. Just use your neighbour's internet.
I told him, come downstairs, you can use my internet.
yeah, that's it. So now you can get back to writing your drum and bass.
Yeah. Yeah, you got a lot of good points there, and you made a good argument for a lot of them. If you had any advice just for a younger 1000 Days Wasted, if there was just one bit, what would you tell a beginner?
Probably two things. One, make a creative space, as in burn some nice incense, get some like a blue rope light off the internet, dim the light, get a dimmer switch, make this space a special space. And this sounds like the goofiest, stupidest idea ever, but it's like, sure, you can write music in, like a room that's messy and terrible, but in a lot of ways, if you've got a vibe in the room, that's really important. It's kind of like, it should be a special place. And this is, I see this thing, and it was talking about like genius, and it was saying that the Romans thought that genius wasn't something that was a person thing. They thought it was a spirit, and they thought, I know you can probably edit this bit out, but they thought it was the spirit of genius visited a room. So you would have by having these nice things and making it a vibey room, the spirit of genius would be there, and at some point it would sort of inhabit you and come out. But what they were really talking about, I don't believe in the spirit of genius before rumors get carried away. But what they were talking about was induction, and with there's induction and deduction. Deduction is like Sherlock Holmes. You've got all the information in front of you. You're making something with those facts.
Yeah.
So you got all your samples, you got your finger keyboard, and you know what you know about music. But that's always getting smaller. Induction's the other way around. Induction's like, this room is vibey as hell, and I'm thinking about all my futuristic ideas. And then when I start doing stuff, all that seems to come out, getting like a broader picture. It's about imagination and like getting your hands dirty, that kind of playful self. Yeah. Not you know what I mean. And so easy way of doing induction, as I say, is just get some nice lights, dim the light, get some control pads, and just get some cheap things like the launch pad. We'll get here in a bit, and burn some incense. I buy this incense called Mother's Incense, and it's just like really nice, quite expensive. And
okay. I might check that out.
Yeah, I've got a link for it. I think it's sold by Greater Goods in the UK, but it's like, I used to get like a Nag shampoo incense all the while. It's really good, but they changed all the ingredients on it. They took out all the like good smelling stuff in it. A bit of an incense freak, and you can get this Mother's Incense, and it's like it smells well nice, And it's like when you've got that going, and you've got lights and things like that, you feel like it's special. And it's like, I've had people in the studio before now, and they're having like some kind of argument or domestic with a girlfriend or something. Yeah. I'm like, you've got to leave.
Yeah, you're messing up the
magical place, and it's not for that. You're killing the vibe in this room, and that's I think, if you've got to respect it like that, and it sounds kind of, but it doesn't even have to be a room. It could just be that one little area of your room or something like that. And I think it's easy to overlook that as my one piece of advice of creating a space which feels like it's supposed to be a special place, not just like and an empty bag of crisps on the table or something.
Dirty pants hanging off your monitor and that kind of.
Don't screaming, and whatever. Yeah, exactly. Respect the studio space. Maybe that's the best advice. Yeah, don't be critical of that. I mean, I think new producers aren't really like that anyway. They just get cracking. It's for that. Yeah, that's the best advice. Create an environment.
Definitely. Now, on to the technical part. So, what kind of hardware, software, outboard are you favouring at the moment?
Okay, I use Live 9. Now, I don't want to be like an advocate of Live 9 because it's got some faults with it. Why I like Live 9? I hate Live 9. Why I like Live 9? You can just throw stuff together with it. Stuff all that messing about with like 5 million clicks. Click for click. I've used Cubase, used everything. Click for click. You're like 7 clicks down every 2 clicks you do, sort of thing. So realistically, when you start knocking up a tune, but anyone else on Cubase, they've clicked about 1 billion more times, and it just becomes infinitely easier to do everything. Just throw it all together and get your ideas together and get it moving. And you can do things quite quick, like if you're rephrasing a vocal, you can just make the little points and push it all around. So you get a vocal sound, you think that's brilliant, that's working.
Yeah. Your vocals sound really amazing. I was going to ask you, actually. The vocals sound like...
Give away all my secrets.
Yeah. What was that again? No, they sound live. They sound really, really...
I put a lot of processing on it. I put a lot of processing on them, so it's kind of like just different things that are kind of giving it a bit of widening, a bit of like compression, just some reverb. Just a combination of a few things that go onto that. But also, I try and let's say with vocals, I hit them. People might say, well, you get a sampler, and people say, well, I could have put that sample in there, or I could have put that, those things in there. But it does not just come straight out and slap on the canvas. I put a lot of processing on it. I totally rephrase and change things. I stretch words and phrases, and that. And if it's done, it's almost like, I mean, I've worked with live vocalists before now, and it's obviously they're. Live takes sometimes are a lot worse than what you get on if you get them if you purchase them from a library.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like because they're usually pretty hammered sometimes, vocalists. Story for another time, as they say. But and so in a lot of ways, if you have a vocalist in the studio and you record all their bits and it's that, you spend ages just getting really tight, really sitting on the beat, getting all things moving. But also sometimes there is a swing on the way people sing, or you want it to. It's not all like quantized. So you do all that, and if you get it right, you almost can't hear that there's any difference.
Yeah.
It's kind of like if you do it really well, the vocalist goes, yeah, I did amazingly that day. And you go, I'd spent hours sorting it out.
Yeah, and they're like, I didn't remember doing that. I was hammered that day.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah. It's like you so weren't. You're like, and it's kind of like the same things when you get them off a sampler, that I'm rephrasing those bits, so they're sitting around the bass or melodies or things that I've done, and that's kind of like it's one of those things that I always think people think I could just get that and I could have thrown that in, whatever. And it's like, no, it's way more than that. Just throw it together, Yeah. And it's kind of, I think obviously people focus on the vocals sometimes, quite a bit. And so if you come to my studio, I'd show you bits and you'd go like, no way, that's, I'd show you, I said, this is original, this is all the little bits I moved around and edited and these subtle things and stretched that little word so it's going 1/10 of a millisecond further into that bit, and I pitch that bit up and do that. You just be like, what? So it's, I mean, I take a lot of time to make it sound like it's right. A lot of the reason why is because it's kind of weird, because I see drum and bass as being a bit nervous about vocals a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Then the other time, you get tracks where it's like belting all the way through it, and I'm sort of like, it's a funny old scene where I always think if you're going to put a vocal, it's got to be right. And I sort of try and do it, probably about maybe 20% of the song. So you still got all the dark rolling bits, but then you got the sort of uplifting bit of the vocal.
Yeah, that's kind of your signature, isn't it?
Well, this is the thing that I say, my semi-dark style gets me in nothing but trouble. Yeah, whereas I feel like all the way through with like synths and vocals that they'd sign it. And if I did it like just pure dark, and then that all just horror story, it's made for a room full of men sort of music, they would, they'd sign that as well. And I'm like, no, I like a little bit of underlying menace, then a little bit euphoria, and back being a menace, So it's for everyone, and that's, but that's kind of what I like in drum and bass. And I think that's, as an artist, you should try and push as much of what you like in that genre into the music you're making. So it's kind of like I like a lot of the vocal stuff, definitely, and it's kind of weird also, like what you listen to is not like what you write sometimes. So sometimes I listen to noisier and stuff like that. It's just thrashing around and changing and switching of ace, and it's kind of like, but that's not, I couldn't be in a studio writing that. I'd go crazy. It's for them to do it. They do it, it's kind of, and that's, again, back to that advice for new producers. Yeah, write music how you write music. Don't start thinking, I need to be the next noisier.
Yeah, definitely.
Somehow they do it really brilliantly, let them do it.
Exactly, because you'll never be able to duplicate it. So, you'll always be second.
Well, this is the thing that with being creative, you have, you've got a sort of set of rules. And it's not like rules, and rules is probably a bad word. Like you've got a set of, like concepts that you're working around, how you perceive the music. And it's again, Il Gates, he says the Zen garden. The Zen garden is like, you got stones in the Zen garden. He goes, you don't go, right, this is my wheel and I'm going to make this exact sound. Here I go into the Zen garden with a hammer.
Yeah.
You don't take a hammer into the Zen garden. You take a broom or a rake, and you look at where the rocks are, and you make your raking go around it. You know what a Zen garden is, with a thing with all the little stones which they rake around.
Yeah.
Half the people listening probably switched off now, gardening. No, but and that's the thing, that by seeing what your sounds do, and knowing what your style is, and pushing that together, sometimes I hear things and think, oh, that is awesome, and that is like, if I was a different producer, right now, and that's, I think you've got to understand that another producer, you're only seeing the finished product. You're not seeing the way he conceptualizes music to make that.
Yeah.
And even when they always have those goofy things in future music, love future music and computer music, but they always have those goofy things where they try and recreate a Prodigy track or something, and you listen to it, and it just sounds fucking awful. Excuse me.
That's all right.
And it just sounds like a really rubbish version of that track.
Yeah.
And you're like, because when the man did it, he didn't have that one singular idea, I am going to make, a Prodigy track.
Yeah.
He probably had some sounds he was working with, and some of it didn't work out, some of it did. And that's, people get caught up in the creative process like that you've got to have some kind of mixed vision.
Yeah. I remember, I was going to say, I remember seeing an issue of, do you remember Amiga and Atari STs and all that?
Only just. How's that?
I'll shut up then.
No, go on.
I
might have had an Amiga. That's what I'm saying. At this point.
in Amiga magazine or whatever it was, when Urban Shakedown came out with that tune, Sun Justice.
I had them. That's bad. I had them. It was like, and they were all like, it was on Octamed. There we are.
Yeah, and it was in there, and it's like, how to make this tune. They just use this Amiga and a sampler S950, and you can make a top 10 tune.
Yeah. I remember all that. But this is the thing, that it's not. That's like a lot was poured into the funnel. Something come out the other end. Like a small thing come out the end. But it's the machinery. Is understanding the process, is having, that what the shapes are, what they're doing, and you have your techniques to move about those shapes. And I always think sometimes I've got loads of techniques from being creative with music. Sometimes I just wish I could remember them all at the sort of same time.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I just remember bits, and sometimes I listen back to like other tracks. I'm like, oh, I remember I did that. Like, that's quite a cool thing to do. And then I go, you do that on the track that I happen to be writing or something. It's kind of, I don't think it's not meant to be. It's not a test, It's not meant to be, I've got to do everything I always do, I just remember some of it and I just get vibey with it. And I think it's you've got to be in a creative mindset. So anyway, what's
next question?
Where
we were talking about previous releases on Basswave, such as the Alive EP, and also this Corruption EP was on Break Loose Records. Your last release, Hope Kills, and also the Chiller were released on Dirt Lies and Audio Black
Yeah, DLA. Yeah.
Do you have any plans to start your own label, or have you already got one that I don't know about?
Well, this is an odd question, and it's kind of someone said this the other day, and it's kind of like record labels are funny because obviously I send my stuff out to record labels and that, and it's kind of like I think sometimes record labels are like some record labels are like, hey, we're maturing, just give us a load of demos, it's cool. There's quite a few labels like that at the moment, which is really nice. It makes me feel that the scene is it's not all just all the big ones, but there's still like a lot of ones that are really moving and they're getting some chart success and they're getting moving. I think with labels, it's kind of an odd thing that like other labels are like almost the artist just puts out his own music. Do you know what I mean? Or it's like, they'll put out theirs and about 3 of their immediate friends,
their mates. Yeah.
And I think there's a medium between the two where it's kind of like, on the one hand, I was saying this to my friend the other day, I feel a bit sorry for record labels because they possibly have to listen to 200 really bad drum and bass tunes in a week.
Yeah.
So do I. Well, you know what I'm trying to say. It's kind of like not being like weird. I'm sure everyone thinks that about my whole catalogue, but it's like I'm not saying that mine is amazing, but I'm still thinking you just get like work in progress or like something that's like been someone's put a some kind of limiter on the whole thing and it's just smashed out of its mind or something, and so it's kind of like I think in a lot of ways by people doing a label you might leave yourself open to almost coming away from drum and bass. And I think it would be fun to do a label if you had some very sort of special friends, a few artists you were developing, and you get into a chance to control your own releases and be a bit more experimental. But I always think that it'd be so tempting to put out really weird music on it if you owned your own label. I think the fact that someone else just goes, no, that is too damn weird,
I've heard some of that recently from people and I thought that's weird, but you've only put it out, it's good but it's weird. But,
you know what I mean? So the fact that someone else catches me a slap and says, if I hear any of those weird sounds in your music, cat sounds, as we'll say, any more of those cat sounds, I won't be answering your emails. But you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like it's nice that someone else has got that filtering process, in place, which is nice for other people's labels, obviously. And as I said, I think it would have to work in a way that was fun. I mean, sometimes we tried things like promoting nights. I mean, everyone has, and it's just kind of really bombed, and you've spent like months, trying to do things, and it's almost like so, like not what you're normally doing. So, in a way, I think with any kind of project like that, it would have to sit in place. It would just have to sort of like be. It would have to almost look like it was a completely right thing before we even started. And that's, so that's the kind of answer, and leave it kind of semi-open to people sending in demos. I think it'd have to be. I don't know how you do it, but you'd have to sort of somehow sit somewhere on that scale, so it wasn't completely floodgates open, but also wasn't just some snooty me and 3 friends or something. I think it'd have to be something. So that's the answer. Maybe one day, but I think it'd have to be managed in some sensible way.
Yeah, but also, I mean, it would be taken away from. You spend an hour doing record label, you're losing an hour of production, and over time you might think, I should have spent that time doing that. You'd have had 1,000 days wasted.
You're just killer. I know, but I see a thing once and it was about social networking or something, and it's like because I try and smash the social network, putting out a message, like what me and the team of 50 people that work for me, so I try and let people know that I've got the tunes out if I'm doing it right, and people are supportive, and they know who they are, so that's really good, so it's kind of I try and do that, and I see a thing once and it was saying, but think of how else you could have spent your time. And I think you've almost got to get that into. I tend to do it when I'm doing, when I wait for a bit of audio to mix down, I'm just shouting out about my tune or putting something out or something like that. And I think that's okay because you can sort of just about do that. But if you sat down and go, right, I'm going to spend 3 hours with social networks this morning, you say you could be writing a tune. And I don't know how you could do a sort of a record label in a kind of a slightly semi part-time in between while you're mixing down audio kind of way.
You can't,
It's a business, you got to, you can't just go like, hang on 2 secs, and 45 minutes later after you've been belting out tracks, I think I was in a conversation with that man, I better get back to him. I think you'd have to have your business head on for that,
Definitely. And I was going to ask you, I know you've had all of these recent successes. Is there an album planned for you coming up shortly?
Well, this is, it's kind of like, at the moment I'm sort of releasing singles and EPs, and it's kind of working quite nice because I've got something constantly, keep putting a log on the fire kind of thing, it keeps burning. I think I'd like to release an album, but I think it'd have to be an event, you know. It'd have to be like maybe, I don't know, just like some kind of thing where it was made into a special a thing of some kind. I don't know, with a label or with something where it was done with a kind of like as part of an actual plan, not just here's an
album,
here's 10 tracks. It was like literally this is going to be, you know, get some, you know, press with it or some bits with it. And I think that's realistically, I think it would have to be done as part of some kind of business plan or some kind of thing that went with it. So it was nice. So it wasn't just. I think it's. I mean, the funny thing is when you release a single or an EP, it's kind of nice, but it has the same artwork. So sometimes my Twitter will look like, is he just posting the same picture? I'm like, no, man, it's like it's two in a row. It's just never people about it. And I think if I release like, you know, it takes me say 20 hours, 30 hours to do a tune, you know, so, you know, a couple of days or something, you know, for split sessions up, you know, it's a week's worth of work kind of thing. And so it's kind of like with, if you think of all that, that's a good, you know, couple of months work. If you just put it out in one big lump, when you're advertising those different tracks, they'd all have the same artwork. So you kind of go, this is that. And your Instagram would just look like a wall of like, you know, single album cover, you know?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Someone said to me the other day on Instagram, and I can't remember the man's name, I said I'd name him. And he goes, why do all your tracks sound the same? I was going, it is the same track, man. And he's like, why do all your tracks have the same beat? And I'm like, it's just different sections of the same track. I think it might have been a Hope Kills, I can't remember. No, I think it was Alive. And it was like, why do all your tracks have the same beat? I'm like, they're different tracks. This is just different parts of the track. I'm just, Instagram, you're just putting a little sound bite so people can hear it and get vibey on it.
He wanted like the whole track for free, didn't he?
Yeah, well, because Instagram's got a lot of people recording their music and they're like just pointing at the speaker but dancing their phone around. I'm saying, that's my second tip for producers. Don't record stuff and dance the phone around. It's very tempting to do, but don't dance. You know, where it's like the speaker going forward and backward.
I know. I see that all the time.
Yeah. I'm like, it's tempting because you sort of want to do something to make it more interesting. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, no, don't dance the phone. It's like, if the tune's good, you don't need to dance the phone.
Yeah.
I'll probably do that next month. You probably write me up on it.
Yeah. Oh, tut will be my comment.
Yeah, that's it. You know, if you see me dancing the phone, just come catch me slap, you know.
Yeah, I was saying about an album because obviously I love to listen to music, and when I sometimes hear people's older stuff, I like want everyone to hear it. Like, you know, I've heard stuff from a year ago from 2 years ago, like Rapture and Lowrider and all mine. And I'm like, I want the world that's getting Hope Kills to hear those tunes as well.
Rapture's never been released, and it's kind of like, I really like that track a lot, you know, and it's something I've really ever sent it to labels. It's kind of a funny thing that it's kind of like, I like that track a lot, and I think it's kind of like, I don't know, I just, again, you know, maybe I should just send that around, see if anyone's into that, you know, and it's kind of like, I've literally never sent that to anybody, you know, so it's kind of like, it just sits there as that, but I just really like it. Or maybe I should do it as a free download. I think it's up on what's that called, Bandcamp, you know, so you can get it from there.
Okay.
But I've never really advertised it, you know. I've never really advertised. See what I mean? I've never even told anyone this, you know. Just I sort of created a Bandcamp, and I thought, I could put a track up there, so it's not just a blank page, and I put a Rapture on that. And it's kind of like, I really like that track, and it's kind of, sometimes I sort of finish a piece of music and I do say to myself, but is it drum and bass, you know?
But is it really drum and bass?
The mirror talk, you know what I mean? I got my hand on my chin, I'm like, Robin, are you making drum and bass? You know, so, you know, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, and that one I really like, and I think a lot of people don't see that as drum and bass. And it's like even like the EDM trap stuff I've made, that was like on Beatport, and they put it under dubstep, and it's just like, it's not dubstep, it's EDM trap. Yeah, it's like on the dubstep compilation as well, you know. It's just like that's clearly trap. And yet other people, you know, back to what we're talking of dubstep, other people are saying that's not trap doesn't do that, because they think of it as that, the ghetto hip hop, you know, that kind of trap, you know. So it's kind of like, I think it's, people still, they see that as like, that's some kind of like house music or something, and I'm like, it's trap, it's got a beat, it's got a, you know, snare rolls in it, it's got the thing, you know, it's 808 stub rolling through it. So it's kind of like, you know, that's one of the tracks I'm really, you know, really into them, and they sort of sit there in my catalogue in a weird way, but they do get re-released. They've been like licensed out to different compilations, so it's kind of like you say, it'd be weird to put that all together in one big lump in some way, or something. I don't know. It's I think Spotify's for that. I think that's probably the best bet if you want to see their full playlist, you know.
Definitely. But yeah, I know you played at a lot of festivals and clubs. You played in London, Birmingham, Leeds, Brighton, Spain. You got any plans to gig a lot this year, or are you concentrating more on the production?
The answer to that is both. I mean, obviously, I'm smashing the studio. That's, I'm there doing that, and it's kind of like that's something I'm always doing, and it's kind of like I'm either in a session making music, or I'm putting, like even today I've been going through those Nuo bass. I've even forgot, it's bad that I can't even advertise things. I can't remember what they're called. Nuo bass something with a sounds from I'll tell you what it is, Nuo Funk Bass Weapons. That sounds better than me describing it. And I think I played you a little bit on the phone earlier. So yeah. And they're nice, and it's kind of like, obviously I bought them today and I got that. So it's kind of, I'll go through and choose them sounds and get things like that. And that's like not me making music. That's me just getting a handful of ideas together and doing that. And if I'm not doing that, I'm in a session making music. I mean, I'd like to get on the road, definitely. I mean, I think it's a bit, it's been a little while since I've been on the road doing anything. It's kind of like, I've got a VCI 400 controller, done a lot of stuff like that in the past, like just big festivals and things. I played the Q Club in Birmingham, went to like the main stage in there, and that was awesome. So it's kind of like we were doing stuff with like musicians, we had like percussionists, like a bass player, doing like MCs and things.
Wicked.
And we were just literally just doing one before, and it's kind of like, well, we were doing like a electro house sets. It wasn't drum and bass, but we're ending in like drum and bass. So we do like a 3 or 4 hour set. Then we do maybe 45 minutes drum and bass at the end. So it's kind of like own productions and different things. So that's, I've had a lot of experience with that, and that's something I feel very comfortable with. That, like, I like to say I can drive a truck through the venue, and that's definitely something I can do. I can do when live. And that's I think that's I like that. I mean, I think a big club, as I said, that thing about standing around with your pants on. That feels like that if it all kicks off. Yeah. But the person who's fast forward it's probably thinking, what on earth is he talking about? And then small clubs is different. I mean, it's I haven't been, as I said, I've got this controller now on a laptop, and I haven't been on the road with that before. It was like CDJs and that with effects on them. So I'm a bit worried about taking a laptop on the road, but I'm just going to take some CDs if it all blows up. So
back up.
Yeah. Just that's the only, rather than try and sort of make some sort of waterproof laptop. I was just thinking, I just take if it sort of blows up from someone, and then put a CD on. When you're in a smaller venue and it's crazy, and first you get like about 5 million MCs all trying to get the mic all at the same time, that are most rubbish, and you've got to sort of like just turn the mic volume down and say, look, give him the mic, that's you finished, go on. and then sort of some guy looks like he does mixed martial arts, and you're sort of thinking, right, hang on. Do you know what I mean? Just break me in a single karate chop or something. And I'm saying, look, come on, give him the mic. And then when it all kicks off, everyone's really near you, and it's like in small environments, and everyone's like just grabbing for you, and you're just like pushing everyone off of your arm, like, because they've just gone crazy, and people are just rubbing your head and grabbing you, just bouncing the whole time, and that's really nice. I think sometimes EDM can get into all that sort of massive arena and worship the DJ, and it was never like that in the past. It was like a DJ playing some records, and everyone was facing different directions. It wasn't just some sort of worship the man thing going on. And so I think, as I said, smaller things, when it's absolutely bouncing, is ace, because it's literally it's just the filth and the fury of what's going on, and it's like like you and an MC just literally pushing everyone away from the gear, everyone just going bouncing and smashing into everything. It's like kind of like a drum and bass equivalent of a mosh, and and that can be really ace. And I think we've done things before where it's like that. So if it's going to be vibey, if it's going to be right, I'm there. I mean, it's some of the things we've played in the past have been like, they're saying like, you're playing in Arena 4, right? And when you get there, it's literally the toilet gig, and it's literally like a corridor near the toilet. I'm like, this is not Arena 4. This is like a corridor.
It's not an arena. It's a hallway.
Yeah. And do you know what I mean? It's like, there you go to Arena 4. You go, I must have missed it, but because I've only found the toilet. And I'm going, you are welcome to Arena 4. So, if it's, or other things where you're getting into shakedown on the way in, and it's kind of like, you're like, I'm playing tonight. And they're like, you're not on it. And I'm like, oh man, you've got to let them know we're coming, and so, the usual sort of things being messed about. So, I think
I've been there many a time.
Yeah. So I mean, if people would treat me with respect and it's good, and they can let me just literally, let it kind of rip, then I'm there to do my thing, And I think I'm hoping that is, I will get a chance to do those kind of things, Not, I don't want to be a prima donna about it, but it's got to be respectful of me to give some space to be creative. Not like someone saying, "Oh, I really think that's a little bit whatever for this club tonight," and I'm like.
Well, that's what you do. But you know what I mean. It's like, speaking of DJing, how's your Dark Rollers mix doing on Beatport?
well, that was a weird thing. I put that together, just mix some tracks together, put some of my tunes on there, and I put it up on Mixcloud. And Mixcloud, damn you, Mixcloud! I put it on Mixcloud, and by putting 3 of my own tunes on there, or something, it gets banned from Mixcloud in America, because I got a friend like Dawn in Miami, big ups, and I sent it to her, and she goes, it won't even work, because Mixcloud IDs your tracks, so they track ID your tracks, but I put the names of them on there. Now 3 or 4 of the tracks hadn't been released at the time. Hope Kills hadn't been released at the time, and this is even alternative mix of like As We Enter is on there as well, and that hasn't been released yet. He's got to get back to me on that. Okay. So it's got a load of dubs on there. So when I put the track list in, immediately got banned in America because of some mix.
It got banned because a tune that you made yourself.
Because I'd mixed my own tunes that they can't have same artist, same tunes. So it's like more than 3 tunes. I think it's about, I might even 5 of my tunes in there if you count that remix or something. So I did it again the second, because like I say, just ignore the pressure, just do it again, put it up there without the track listing, because I thought, because you can't track ID them, because they're not even on Juno, because it does it from Juno. I thought they're not even on Juno, they're not anywhere right now. So I did that, and I called it the USA version. I was thinking, this is just so stupid. And in the comment, put the track listing. Anyway, so you're just thinking, because I was going to edit it, and I thought, this is just stupid. What, edit out a middle chunk that's got my tracks on so it doesn't get banned in America? And I thought, look, what, and so and that did really well on Mixcloud. I don't know, it's got something where it went in the drum and bass chart there. And then when Hope Kills was actually being released, I was just looking for new and exciting ways to promote it. And I thought, I'll put it up on Beatport. And it was, you just have an idea one afternoon, there's absolutely no plan to it. And I've just seen someone else's mix or something like that. I was like, I'm going to do that, just put it on my profile. Yeah. Put it on there, forgot all about it. And when I put it up, it will only let you, put certain things in the listing. And I just couldn't even work it out. Trust me, I just couldn't even work out how to do it. If I'd have known it was going to do well, I'd have you just think, I'd have known it's going to do well. Because once, like with Beatport, once you supply a chart or you supply a mix, anything like that, it's like not editable, so it's just there. So, I would have perhaps put something really interesting and whatever with it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I've done that with iTunes, something that I can't change now that I wish that I had done.
Yeah, like I say, just be an eternal moment. Don't worry about the past. It's like just keep rolling, pushing on through. What else I say earlier? Just ignore the pressure. Just keep moving. So so I put it up there, and I was looking at my artist profile on Beatport, and it said like top mix, which I thought was kind of weird. I was like, what's that? Well, first it's like a little like gold badge, I was like, wow, it's like Boy Scouts or something, I was like, I'm like top mix, and I was thinking, what on earth is that even? So when I clicked it took it to my mix, and my mix was like 22 in the mixes chart. It's like they should sort of tell me or something, so I was like, no way, which is kind of, I felt a bit like the mix had already been around for like a couple of weeks anyway. It's sort of been, people had known about it. So but it was like afterwards, it was like I was checking back on the chart, and there's like Dirty Phonics mix just went straight in at number 1. And I'm like, yeah, but they got the they got the team behind them. Yeah. Because I was like, I'm doing wonders for drum and bass, because everything else is just like electro house mix or some progressive house mix. Yeah. I was like, I'm the only drum and bass mix of Dirty Phonics at number 1 3 weeks later. So it's kind of but you know what I mean. Beatport kind of leans that way sometimes, a bit like progressive house. So. And I was like, so I got a little badge on my profile. Awesomeness. Yeah. But it makes me think I might start putting things on it, and you can actually buy it from Beatport, so that's quite cool.
Yeah, definitely. When you first got into DMB, what were your favourite kind of venues, raves and stuff to attend?
As I said, I've always been involved in like just enjoying like dance music, different things. It's kind of hard to say. I mean, if you were to put an all-time favourite, probably Fabric, probably True Players Night, kind of thing like that, which is relatively modern in terms of the rave scene kind of thing. But with Hype, it was almost like Hype was there, kind of doing all those mixtapes, literally tapes. Back in the day, and he obviously doing that True Players Night. It would always just be all the same things, scratching and everything going crazy, and people singing back to the crowd and stuff. And so I haven't been there in a while, but it's like that was always an excellent balance. And then always have like, you'd be like drum and bass and you think, this is dark. We saw I think it was Diesel Boy one time, and we'd sort of been outside a bit in the cold and stuff, and everyone else, we got there well late, and it was like as if Satan himself was DJing, and it was like pretty scary. I was like, woo, you know, I think I needed to break into this a little bit, you know, like, you know what Diesel Boy's like, you know, it's kind of like, it's pretty heavy, like, you know, and I was just like, whoa, you know, I just, you know, still just warming up a little bit, and I was thinking, blimey, and my friend at the time, he was just like, whoa, you know, like, should we just gonna get a drink?
Yeah.
You know, so, and then you'd go in like the other room, and it'd just be like dark kind of grime step or some style of something you'd never even heard of kind of thing. And so you'd have the drum and bass that you know that you'd be all right with, and then you'd have sort of, you know, sort of experimental. And sometimes it would still be the drum and bass labels, but they'd just be like taking liberties because they'd be in the other room. It's like, you know, Arena 4 that probably actually is sort of still a room.
Yeah.
You know, and they'd just be playing the sort of the more, you know. And you get a lot of those artists that do still do like hip hop and kind of experimental sort of dubstep and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd say that's True Players Night of Fabric Polygon's better.
I know you mentioned a couple of people there and stuff. Like right at the moment, is there anyone that you're like a massive fan of, that you hear their stuff, or whether it's production, DJing, you know, MCing, anything like that, and you think, right, they're amazing. And
probably the top of my slightly interesting list, probably Neon Light. I think they're kind of interesting. You know, it's a French duo that's doing kind of electro-y kind of drum and bass. Let me look on my cheat sheet, which is my drum and bass folder here. What we got? BTK, obviously. You know, that's can't go wrong with that at all. Cern and Dabs, any of that kind of dark rollery stuff. Break, obviously, he's got that kind of classic sound, but he still makes it sound kind of neuro-y somehow, you know.
Yeah.
Noisier, obviously, talked about them earlier.
Yeah, they got something coming out soon, actually. Noisier. I think they've got an album.
They're talking about but they got a team behind.
Yeah.
And I bet it'd be awesome. It's like, don't listen to it before you write drum and bass, because it'd just be too awesome.
Yeah. It's called 10 Years of Vision Recordings, 23rd of February. I'm just giving them a little plug there on your...
Yeah. No, it's all right. It's all right. I don't mind. You know?
Yeah, that's that. But yeah, anyone else?
Upbeats, obviously. Can't go wrong with the Upbeats, you know. That Ulterior Motive album. Why is everyone releasing an album except me? Damn it, you're right.
Yeah.
That Ulterior Motive album was just utterly awesome. Who else? Obviously, you know, classics like Andy C, all that sort of stuff going on. BC's got some really good stuff, more on the kind of liquid stuff. Obviously, you know, Cameron Cookie got some interesting things going on. It's anything Mr. Williams sings on, it's excellent, you know, and you know, that's probably sort of like the core of the artists I like. I probably missed a load of people I like, obviously Optive and BTK said there, you know. So, but yeah, as I said, I like Neon Light. It's kind of like they're when I listen to their tracks, I think, they're breaking so many rules. and you know, they're like really ultra weird melodic-y bits, but then it sort of goes a bit sort of dark. So they got, you know, that's just no, they're not really in any order, but we'll put BTK at the top there just in case, you know, the big man.
Wicked. And is there anything else I've missed there? Is there anything else our audience can expect in 2015 from you?
Well, again, so, you know, more music, hopefully some live shows and DJ gigs. So obviously live shows being something with like musicians. Something else for this, because you've asked it. I got for Christmas a selfie stick, not because I'm like awesomely good.
Wicked.
But if people don't know what a selfie stick is, it's like you put on your camera and have your phone miles away from yourself, and this one's got like a remote, so you press the button and it'll take the picture. So I was kind of hoping to get like some studio pictures from like the kind of bird's eye, you know, I'm going to use the phrase again, gear porn, bird's eye gear porn perspective of my studio, to see what goes on with it, you know. It's kind of like live shows, gear porn, remixes, DJ gigs and new tracks. I think that's studio selfies. Imagine that.
Watch out for studio selfies. No, well, thanks for taking the time to talk to us today. Hopefully we'll speak again soon. Obviously, I wish you all the best and can hope that Hope Kills continues to rise up in the charts. And
thanks, mate.
Before we go, where can our audience find out more about you?
Twitter's probably the easiest accessible place. Obviously, 1000DaysWasted.com, so one word, so 1000DaysWasted.com. But if you stick it in Google, you'll find it. Don't leave gaps. I think it'll still work if you leave gaps. You want to listen to all music for free. Well, apart from the Beatport exclusive stuff, you know, that's you can hear all that on Spotify, but you get adverts. And if not, just pay £1 for it, man. Support the artist.
I was going to say, support the artist. They're only £1.
Go to Beatport, I'll get my tunes, you know. So yeah, that's. basically slap it in Google, usually get something. But yeah, Twitter I find the easiest thing to like, just people give me some shouts, or got to put me on a mix or something, they shout it. I've shouted out so people hear it. So it's about all the social networks. There's something like 20,000 people follow me, some crazy massive, So Twitter's something like maybe 4,000 or 5,000, I can't remember. So that's quite good. So if someone puts a mix together and puts it on it and it's a good mix, I'll give it a shout. Yeah. So that's probably it's just easier, because you can, as I said, I can do that when I'm sort of doing a mix down a piece of audio. I can just quickly do a retweet or reply. It's not getting into all that complicated free menus later, so
yeah. And I'll put in the show notes for this on SoundCloud and on iTunes, I'll put all the links to you as well there, so for ease of use, no worries.
So people don't have to memorise what I just said, best. Thanks, man.
No worries. And in comes Hope Kills from 1000 Days Wasted.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to check out drumandbasshq.com.